So far this year, we've had a number of really high-profile gatherings, demonstrations, rallies, and marches on specific issues. We had the Women's March right around the time of the inauguration, far surpassing it in terms of how many people showed up, thankfully. We had the tax day marches very recently. There were marches in support of immigrants who were being detained once the travel ban started. And this weekend, we have another. This Saturday is the March for Science, where thousands of scientists and their pro-science supporters are going to be marching in cities across the country and some in other countries as well. The main march in Washington will feature speakers including Mona Hanna-Attisha, the pediatrician who blew the whistle on the water crisis in Flint, Michigan originally, science educator Bill Nye, as well as other hosts and performers. It's going to begin with a rally, the main march, at 9 a.m. Eastern, followed by the march. Organizers expect more than 500 other marches to take place around the world. And I polled some of my Twitter followers about this, and there were big cities, there were small cities. In Canada it's going on, in Mexico it's going on. And it's very important because the moves that we've seen from the administration so far have been not even just normal Republican, aggressively anti-science, but the amount of defunding is beyond what I even feared would happen, and we're gonna get into those numbers shortly. But first I wanna read a quote from Rush Holt, head of the American Association for the Advancement of Science, who I was able to be involved with a panel in New York last year, speaking out in support of the march, saying, "Scientists are often reticent to go public. In this case, the level of anxiety about the state of science, its place in our society and in our government, and whether the conditions under which it can thrive are being adequately maintained and defended has led people to go into the public square in what appear to be unusually large numbers and unusually great enthusiasm." And again, scientists, they obviously are concerned about government policy, especially when it comes to their own funding and whether what they learn and reveal is actually put into effect in terms of policy, but don't often necessarily get directly involved in politics themselves. And so this is something slightly different, but they're being careful, at least how the march is being pitched. March for Science organizers have framed the march as a, quote, celebration of science and a nonpartisan opportunity to defend the role science plays in the global community. Now, there's an undercurrent of some partisanship because both parties don't treat scientists the same way, but they don't want to turn people off. The issues that they investigate and work on and we'll be discussing at this march have consequences for all of us.
Yeah, I was wondering why they bothered. Are there any Republican scientists left? Or are there any scientists left who are still Republicans?
Yeah.
Because there used to be, but I don't know.
Petro engineers.
Petro engineers, okay.
Right. No, I know some big lid petro engineers actually.
Yeah, well no, this is greatly ironic because a lot of the defense contractors have to have a lot of scientists that work to build those missiles. I know a couple of them and they're all super libs.
I do too.
And Rush Holt was a congressman who was also a scientist, and now he's not in Congress and he's running this group.
Rush Holt was a rare, great congressman. And he always championed science while in Congress, was from New Jersey, and appeared on the Young Turks many times. So here to Rush Holt, yes.
Interesting.
Okay, now this is what my dad had been asking for. So here's what I mean by that. During the Bush years, for example, he would say, "Why don't all the professors go out there and march? Would they know he is wrong?" Right? Or he would then substitute in historians, legal scholars, say all the lawyers should march, right? So Dad, here you go, they're doing it. It's the scientists going, "We will now march." Why did they wait so long?
Perhaps too long, but it is super important. I mean, we're looking at potential cuts to the EPA, like a blanket 31%, huge amount of their actual workers being cut, 18% cut to the NIH. We're talking about entire graduating classes of graduate students going into the sciences and having effectively, under the current plan, possibly no funding to go towards their work. I mean, this is gonna have ripple effects that affect obviously climate change. I mean, that's the big one, but we're talking about medicine, we're talking about technology and development. I mean, this is the amount that these cuts, the damage that it can do to technology and science going forward, it's difficult to overstate it. And that's why it's so important that this is going on and that people show support for it. I am just waiting to see the right-wing reaction to this march tomorrow. The way that Fox News will address it, the way that Breitbart and Drudge and all them, I mean, they despise exactly these sorts of people, the academics and the scientists. There's gonna be a level of vitriol that I think is gonna be absolutely disgusting. But these are people who are literally fighting not just for their own careers, but for the continuation of our way of life.
I find it so interesting that they felt this was necessary to do. Because this is not something like, hey, let's just tweet about it and start a hashtag. To organize in this way, en masse, at this level, on this scale. And scientists are typically, I'm thinking back to all the people that I worked with during the Gulf oil spill. It was very hard to get scientists to talk about anything other than their work because that's all they care about. When you dedicate yourself to something like that, that's really all you want to focus on. You don't want to talk about the politics around it or the circumstances around it or the controversy. So the fact that they organize like this, and if they show up in the numbers we expect them to, it's something remarkable. It's something worth taking note of.
Yeah, I think that the reason they're doing it is because I think their work is now endangered, and they feel like there's a frontal assault on science, and that's what gets people to actually hit the streets. I mean, that's why we had so many protests in Vietnam, because if you didn't protest, you might go to Vietnam and die, right? And in this case, the very foundation of science is being challenged. And by the way, you might know that you're in the wrong party if you're against the guys who bring you facts. So if you're, professors, they're always teaching you facts. Scientists, scientists with their facts, right? We got to rip them down, and let alone, of course, the media. I know the media is a little bit more trickier topic these days, but they also are in the business of giving you facts. Those are all the three things that Republicans hate and want to tear down.
And then they nominate, they nominate and elect somebody who could not care less about facts. So.
Yeah, and my final point, one of the reasons that I think the time has come and they finally have to come out is partially it's the career thing, it's their funding, but the Republicans have been pushing for cuts to funding for those things for all time, basically, and have been successful in the past. But specifically on the issue of climate change, we don't have time to lose on this issue. If he gets his way on the environment, then it's not just that the oil companies win briefly, we lose for a little while. This is an issue where we're already behind the curve. We don't have 4 years or 8 years to wait. This is one of the big warnings that I gave when people were willing to roll the dice on Donald Trump for 4 or 8 years. On certain issues, we don't have those years to wait. And so thank God scientists are willing to risk the politicization, are willing to risk being attacked publicly to do what's right and to make a big deal out of this issue while there is still time to do something about it.
And if you think I'm overly politicizing it, see, that's not fair. There's a lot of Republicans in favor of science. Well, no, they're, in the case of climate change, let alone many others, they're literally against 97% of the world's scientists.
Yeah.
Then you might be against science.
Yeah, and if you vote for people who are publicly against it, you're against it by default.
Young Turks now has over 6 billion lifetime views. You know who did that? You did that. We're now larger than CNN, ABC, you name a news network online, we're larger than them. And you built all that as everyone scoffed and didn't believe. And here we are, guys, thanks to you. Build independent media together with us at tytnetwork.com/join.